Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. Now, as you know, I mentioned a while back that I'm going to try to catch up with New Japan. However, I made a judgment call. Instead of having the entire show, I'm just going to focus on the second round matches only, on both Day 5 and Day 6 of the New Japan Cup. So we'll see how things will progress there. And then, of course, we move on with Ring of Honor with various matches. We have a Proving Ground match for the ROH Women's World title. Maya World, as you know, a once protege of Athena, well, now she stands against her, faces her, and the real question is, can she survive? We even have the ROH Women's World Television title on the line, and plenty other matches as well. Now, in TNA, as you will probably know, we are heading to the next pay-per-view, but however, a lot of things are taking place. Steve Maclin, as you know, has been reinstated, but now he has to sign up a formal apology to Tom Hannafy for what he did last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? But yes, that sort of thing. And a lot of things also taking place as well. The women's division, the Knockouts division is now, as you know, aiming for the TNA Knockouts World title, and plenty other things as well. And then, of course, as always, we'll wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotion has thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Lead It Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Lead It Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. In the world, wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So as I said, we're going to keep the New Japan stuff shorter, so let's get to it. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Day 5 of the New Japan Cup. This happened on the 10th of course, of March at the Zip Arena Okayama, which is the town where it took place. Where let's just gotta focus on the second round matches, of course. Now, as you all know, day 1 through 4, we all went through all opening of the first round matches and survived. However, the winners of their first round matches, as you probably can guess, they will be facing off wrestlers who received a bye, and that's where we're at this point. Now, Don Fale, as you know, who survived his first round, faces against Shingo Takagi. Now, this was going to be a house fight, but don't forget, Don Fale is a member of the House of Losers, of course. And of course, they weren't going to get involved the moment things go their way. Like, example, the referee was knocked out. Like always, they shoved shove their opponents away up to them to ensure. But of course, we did see the house getting involved in many ways possible. And then, of course, the referee got pulled again, thanks to, of course, their usual tactics. And they even so, Dick Togo powdered the eyes. But thank God for Ghetto, who was, as you know, at the commentary table. Commentary decided to get involved. But, however, Kanemaru accidentally did a little oopsie when he did the whiskey miss onto Dick Togo. But, however, of course, Shingo decided to give a little whiskey miss onto Don Fale. Then later a pumping bomber. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, he advanced. And, of course, Ghetto is happy, knowing too well that the House Torture may not have gotten what they wanted. But at least Shingo got a bit of a chance. So as you know, the Unbound are trying to make a name for themselves, where they're going to go from here. Now our next match, we have another member of the Unbound, Shingo Tagagi's War Dragon brethren, Drilla Maloney, taking on, of course, Heatstorm, Yu Uemura. I have to say, this was one of the most intensified matches ever. Both men are wanted. As you know, Drilla Maloney has made the jump last year from junior heavyweight to heavyweight, and he is doing a great job. He can actually step up. Not to mention, this is why he and Shingo got along great, because they both have that same kind of background. Junior heavyweight competitors jumping into heavyweight, which is something that you probably realize we have the same kind of war mentality, and they're really willing to go the distance, how far they can really take someone's head off, and that's where it goes. However, Yu Uemura, as you know, who wants to rise to the occasion, go beyond what Hiroshi Tanahashi has done, that's exactly what he did. But I think many people would have assumed that Drilla Maloney would have won this match, but however, somehow Yu Uemura was able to survive when he reversed after being taken out with the Drilla Killer by Maloney, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Uemura was able to survive, and just like that, he moves on to the next round. So we'll see how things will roll up. So let's move on, of course, with day 6 of the New Japan Cup, with just the second round matches. Okay, day 6 of New Japan Cups by New Japan Pro Wrestling, and this time they're in Takamatsu City Gymnasium in the city of Takamatsu. Now, as we continue with more of the second round matches, this time we have Satoshi Kojima taking on Ren Narita. Now, this is the first time Kojima in 4 years have participated. Of course, his last years before that were not that good. Of course, he hasn't been in this. But of course, when it comes to Ren Narita, we all know as the new leader of the House of Torture, well, we know that he's determined to win this tournament any means possible to get to the top. But of course, we did see Narita push the ref out of the way, thanks by shoving Kojima, and then the House of Torture doing everything humanly possible to beat him up, using whatever means necessary to dismantle him, and that's exactly what they were trying to do. And of course, Kojima did everything humanly possible to try to withstand, but in the end, the final blow was when Fale crushed him through a table. Of course, just jump on him, and just like that, and then while they got the referee ready, when he's in fact already getting back into his feet, Rennie applied the double cross, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. Yeah, the little sneaky prick got away with it, thinking he's going to win. But sooner or later, no one's going to watch the House of Torture win, because they don't want them to win. They have been nothing but a pain in the butt. Now, our next match, I have to say this was one of the most brutal matches I've ever seen. Henare versus Boltin Oleg. Henare, as you know, who came back after injury for almost who knows how long. Man, he went to the extreme. He wasn't trying just to beat Boltin Oleg. He tried to destroy him outside the ring, outside the barrier, even the chairs. He did everything humanly possible to put enough pain into his body in order for him to give up. But Boltin Oleg is the kind of guy who you can tell he refuses to quit until he says he's quit. And that's exactly what he intended to do. But no matter what, Henare was determined to push through to ensure he gets the win. But in the end, Boltin Oleg walked away with the win when he applied the kamikaze, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Boltin Oleg advances. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened in the second round matches on this one, just like we did with day 5. Now we will probably might have to focus on that on the upcoming thing on the upcoming events if that's the case, but we'll see. So stay tuned for that. But as of right now, let's move on to our next review, which is of course Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor. We opened up with a video promo from Deonna Purrazzo sending a direct message to Athena. Now, the message is, of course, well, let's just say Deonna Purrazzo did not like and appreciate what Athena did by attacking her from behind. However, Deonna made a good, valuable point about one thing. Deonna Purrazzo was the one who paved the way for women's wrestling long before Athena did. But what Deonna Purrazzo sees now is that she is losing control over the women's division in Ring of Honor. And that's why she's doing all this. And she sees fear coming from her. Now remember, Billy Starks did try to get the pure title because Athena feels that Deonna Purrazzo had no right for that belt. So now she's seeing that this whole thing is happening. But she said also that things would change sooner or later. Now, speaking of Athena, she ended up in a proving ground match against Maya World. Now, of course, Athena was attempting to hurt her much as possible because, as you know, Maya World did not fall into the whole minion philosophy that Athena shoves in people's throats about it. And Maya World, as you know, stood against her, and that was one of the things that put her on the map, knowing too well that Athena will definitely try to hurt her for her betrayal. But Maya World did put up a hell of a fight. But however, the match ended in a time limit draw. But because of this, she earned a title shot. So that means she faces against Athena. Deonna Purrazzo and Hyan showed up to congratulate her. But of course, Athena is now showing the fear that she could possibly lose the belt. Obviously, we know what Athena could do. Basically, she'll call Diamante and Billy Starks for help. But we'll see how things will go from there. Now, speaking of title matches, we have the Ring of Honor Women's World Television title. Red Velvet takes on Hyan. Now, of course, Hyan, as you know, has been part of the women's division even further a while back, of course, making her return, making headways. And I have to say she did put up a fight, but however, Red Velvet applied a spinning heel kick and just like that knocked her out. 1, 2, 3, over. Now, our next match is for the ROH six-man tag team belt in a proving ground match. We have Aaron Solo, Nick Comoroto, and QT Marshall. As you know, they're reunited as part of the Factory or something like that. I think that's what it was. And they take on Shane Taylor Promotions, the Infantry, Carly Bravo, and Sean Dean, along with Shane Taylor. And of course, they were going to be the dominant force, and that's exactly what happened. But in the end, we did see a double stomp on Comoroto, allowing, of course, Shane Taylor to take the pin onto Comoroto, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our next match, the ROH World Tag Team belts are on the line, of course. By Tony Khan, Sammy Guevara revealed that he and Beast Mortals have to defend them. But the real question is who's going to be the lucky opponents. Well, out of nowhere, it was the Colognes, of course, Eddie and Orlando Colon. And of course, there was a bit of miscues coming from Sammy and Beast Mortals, but they seemed they got the job done. It was, in fact, of course, was Beast Mortals onto Eddie Colon when he applied a Samoan drop, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. But Sammy acted like he was still, like he survived it. I mean, he did all, Beast Mortals did all the work. But yeah, he tried to take credit where it doesn't belong to him. Now we have, of course, a 6-person mixed tag match. We have the Premier Athletes Tony Nese, Arya Davari, and Tony Delaney. And of course, we had that idiot, Smartmore Sterling, taking on Angelica Risk. Who else? Mark Davidson and Parker Lee. There was some moments where we thought that the men were going to get involved by attacking the women. It did not. But it was Stony Delaney who actually picked up the win with the chokeslam onto Angelica Risk. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, Lethal, of course, along with the Swirl, are sending a direct message to the locker room, but not to mention Blake Christian, as you know, has his sights set on Bandito for the ROH World title, feeling that it should be his now, that he's the one who's carrying the company on his back. I hardly doubt that's the truth, but we'll see. Our next match, we have Scorpio Sky taking on Brian Keith. As you know, recently we saw Skyflight interrupted the victory with, of course, Brian Keith, Big Bill, and Jake and GYV, and now there's a bit of a mission on that. But it was Scorpio Sky with the TKO onto Keith. 1, 2, 3 is over. However, Christopher Daniels and Scorpio were attacked by Big Bill and GYV, sending a direct message after what happened last time. So we'll see where that goes. Now, our next match, we have the ROH Pure Wrestling Championship. Lee Moriarty defends it against the former champion, Josh Woods. And I thought it was a pretty good match. I mean, I wouldn't know for sure. I mean, we have the current and the former champion. But both men kind of exceeded their rope breaks. But in the end, it was a pinfall by Lee Moriarty onto Woods that allowed him to win. But however, Woods forgot that he exceeded his rope breaks. Basically grabbed the rope and the ref ignored that, or he saw it, but he was like, he already exceeded his rope breaks, so he might have forgotten. And just like that, Lee Moriarty retained the belt. So that's how things took place on that. We'll see what happens next week. But as of right now, let's move on to our final review, TNA. Alright, final review, TNA. Well, I might have missed out a few things at the start, but the only thing that I saw was Sinner and Saint taking on the Hardys. I thought it was a pretty good match. I mean, Sinner Saints are a amazing tag team with different unique backgrounds, not to mention, of course, how they operate. But as always, we were expected to see the Hardys win, but I did not expect it how this was going to end. Normally we'd see Jeff Hardy apply the Swanton Bomb, but he applied a brand new submission that he calls the Jeff's the what was it? The Spinal Destination, which of course Jeff Hardy applied onto Judas Icarus, and it's a brand new submission. I didn't know that's something. But it's great to see how much people can evolve. I mean, I mentioned in the past how Volador, as you know, a high flyer, had to change his the way he is. He's not only a high flyer, but he can apply ground techniques into his wrestling craft, and that's something I think that it's missing. Even if you're no longer what you used to do, you have to change a little bit of your style. But we'll see how that goes. Now, Gia Miller conducts a interview with the Elegance brands, of course. As you know, they're upset with the whole thing with OBD, Mickey James, and then, of course, someone from TNA's past, Goldilocks, showed up. And, of course, they just saying that if it wasn't for women like them, they wouldn't pave the way like that. And they are laughing, like thinking that, oh, this bitch doesn't know what she's talking about. And then, of course, Mr. Elegance saying that I must have been 4 years old. Kid, leave the grown-ups. Leave this to the grown-ups. And of course they all shut up, like they cannot believe they're being disrespected. No, they're being disrespectful towards not giving credit to people like Mickey James and all that. They think that they are the real deal. Like, nope, they're not even at level yet. Now our next match, Indy Hartwell versus, of course, Kelsey Heather. Well, this match you probably can guess it was over when Indy Hartwell applied the Hurt Donut onto her, and just like that. However, As you know, Indy Hartwell has one thing in mind: is the TNA Knockouts World Title. Of course, Ariana Grace is not determined to defend it, but Indy Hartwell told her, "You manipulated your father to get what you wanted." But of course, Indy was not going to take that kindly with whatever Ariana Grace comes out at face value, that sort of thing. But you know how that is. And then we did see the Righteous talking with with the Hardys about other things until they in fact were interrupted by the Menace brothers. As you know, the Menace brothers seems like they want to aim for the tag team belts, and that's something, of course, the Righteous are not going to let that happen. Now, our next match, we have Trey Miguel, Rich Swann, and BDE taking on Order 4. Mustafa Ali and Dumb Hands, of course. Of course, we were going to see interference coming from Tasha Steelz and that idiot Agent Zero, and that's exactly what we expected. However, the second time around, of course, with Tasha, Jada Steele, who still has some unfinished business with her, attacked her and then took her out outside the ring. And of course, because of the chaos, Agent Zero tried to help out Tasha Steelz, but this left Mustafa Ali and the Dumb Hands vulnerable. It was, in fact, of course, what's his name? Trey Miguel with the lightning spiral onto John Skylar, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, Daria, of course, as you know, was confronted by Mike Santana, and Mike Santana was telling her, "You don't think I know what you're here for? You're here to make everybody's lives a living hell." And of course, Daria tries to deny that that's not true. That is not true. And of course, Daria told Mike Santana that if he even put any hands on, if he puts his hands on Steve Maclin, well, he'll be stripped of the title. But Santino counter said, well, if Steve Maclin puts his hands on Mike Santana, well, he'll be fired for good and he'll be erased from the archives. And of course, Daria does not like that. So basically, they're doing their jobs, but Daria thinks that Santino's being irrational. No, she's the one who's being irrational, making everybody's lives a living hell. Now, of course, speaking of Santino, his daughter, of course, Ariana, is throwing a temper tantrum like she cannot believe that she's being challenged by none other than Indy Hartwell. And of course, Stacks, being the piece of garbage that he is, distracted Indy while giving Ariana Grace the time to ambush her from behind with the belt. And Santino cannot believe that happened. So sooner or later, Santino has to do something about it. Now, Steve Maclin made his way to the ring to apply a promo. First, you thought he was going to get give an actual apology, but nope. But of course, he had to enjoy the fact how things are working out in his favor. And of course, Mike Santana's watching. He didn't have to say anything, of course. Mike Santana knows exactly the kind of person Steve Maclin is trying to be, so that's pretty much sets it up right there. Now, our next match, we have AJ Francis taking on Elijah. As you know, Elijah was interrupted during his little King's speech by Frankie Kazarian and all that. Things were going well until Frankie Kazarian decided to interrupt and make Elijah lose the match, allowing for AJ Francis to apply the the down payment, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, and then both men decided to attack what was his name? Elijah. Luckily, the hometown man showed up for a helping hand, so we most likely see a tag match between both sides. Now, Rosemary, as you know, made a little jump to the, of course, Swingers Palace, who we haven't seen for a long time. And then we have, of course, the Swingerlettes. As you know, Alicia Edwards was one of them, and then there was another girl. However, the new Swinger was Ryan Meredith. But however, it seems that Rosemary has some unfinished business, and she went looking for her husband, Johnny E. Bravo. As you know, they're not even divorced yet, and that sort of thing. But however, what surprised me is what we saw during this little vignette or semic or whatever it's called. Who was Rosemary talking to last week? And guess who she was talking to? That's right, Allie. It seems they're telling the story that Rosemary is bringing Allie back from the dead. Now, if you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, let me explain it. Before Allie made her way with her husband, her real-life husband, the Blade, along with the Butcher in AEW, Allie was part, of course, she was known as the Bunny in the AEW, but however, Allie was part of Impact Wrestling, but her character died when she's trying to rescue Rosemary in the hands of James Mitchell, and that kind of killed her character. And it seems now that Rosemary is bringing someone back from the dead, someone from her past. And I think because the duo was very unique. If you guys ever seen Allie and Rosemary, let's just say Rosemary used to find Allie as a pain in the butt, saying the shadows just told me this. Wait, whoa, whoa, whoa! What do you mean the shadows? So that kind of thing. So I think many people miss that, and I'm really happy that they're bringing Allie back, because I think many people miss this whole duo thing between Allie and Rosemary. So we'll see how things go from here on out with them, and I'm looking forward to it. Now they did introduce the debut of Ricky Souza, as you know, taking on Brad Attitude, and I thought the match was impressive. I mean, Ricky Souza did get a nice standing ovation from many people when he first arrived. If you guys didn't know, he's actually from Europe. He actually wrestled. He was supposed to wrestle for WXW, but due to circumstances, it did not allow him to. But he did pick up the win when he applied the Blue Thunder Bomb, which was a move that he'd done countless times, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now our main event is the Atlanta Street Fight between Cedric Alexander and Moose. Now everybody in ringside, of course, were banned. So basically this was going to be, well, you can say a clean fight in somewhat, but a fight nonetheless. And of course there was a lot of plunder that was used. Tables, ladders, trash cans, whatever. But Moose was the one who walked away when he speared Cedric Alexander through a table. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. So that means that's 1 down, 3 to go. But the real question is, who's next? We'll just have to wait and see when that happens. But as of right now, we are officially done with reviews. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with some upcoming events. This is going to be a big one for all of you. Apparently I got a big update on the GCW events. So let's get started. As you know, for this Saturday we have the Ashes to Ashes in Atlantic City. Alec Price will take on, of course, Gary J. So that's really confirmed. And then the following day, on the 15th of March, so much fun. 3 matches have been announced. Joey Janela versus Mr. Danger. Marcus Mathers versus Flying Ryan. And then finally, of course, the reunion of Bussy. Yep, Effie and Alley Catch are back together as Bussy. They take on Unsigned and Don't Care. Now, of course, on April 4th in LA, of course, they have the Maniac. It was announced that DDT star Daisuke Sasaki makes his return, so that's been confirmed too. Now we got the, of course, upcoming Las Vegas shows here coming up. First we have Gringo Loco's The World on Lucha on the 17th. It was announced that El Desperado and Thunder Rosa will be participating in these 2 events. And then, of course, we have the Joey Janela Spring Break. We have a 6-man tag team match, of course. Alec Price and Jordan Oliver will team up with Marcus Mathers. They take on the Rascals, Myron Reed, Zachary Wentz, and Desmond Xavier. And then, of course, we have the Effie Big Gay Brunch taking place on the 18th, of course. Mercedes Martinez takes on Vipers. Now, a brand new show has been announced in Maryland in the month of May, on May 1st, called Express Lane. It is going to be at Jopa, Maryland. So if I have any subscribers from Maryland, make sure you get your tickets if you're planning to go see them. Now, moving on to the upcoming events. CML has announced for the 20th of March, there's going to be a match called the Triangle of Legends, and it was announced that this will be the final match of Satanico, a legendary wrestler. He faces against Blue Panther and Atlantis in a 3-way. Now, as you know, we have the upcoming collaboration with Ring of Honor and Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling Global Wars Canada on the 27th. Maya World and Hyan have been announced that they will be participating. I'm going to presume they probably will be either in singles actions or tag team, depending on what they're planning to do. Now, many of you know this promotion, may not have heard of this promotion. If you've been following me, I have reviewed this one. It's called Dexcon. They're based out of Manila in the Philippines, and they just announced a show coming up on the 12th of April called Dito Naman, and they announced, of course, a very surprising appearance from Murder Grandpa. Minoru Suzuki will be there. Yeah, this is gonna be huge. I'm sure there's some die-hard fans who know who Minoru Suzuki is. I mean, I don't know if I have any Filipinos guys who know Minoru Suzuki. If you guys are from the Philippines, then you guys are in for a fun ride. Now, as you know, we had the Fantastica Mania taking place also on the 12th of April. They just announced El Desperado will also participate in the event. Now, of course, we got some interesting developments coming from, updates coming from Dragon Gate for their Las Vegas show, the Gates of Sin City. That will happen on the 15th of April. Matches have been announced with wrestlers who already been mentioned in as well. We have Yamato will take on, of course, the Octopus, Jonathan Gresham. We do have Busta and Brain versus Panther Brothers versus Love and Peace. So there's going to be a three-way tag team match. And of course, we have the Progress Wrestling that will take place in Las Vegas as well on the 16th. It's called Progress Las Vegas 2, chapter whatever, I forgot what it was. I forgot to write it down. Speaking of Las Vegas, we also finally have the Culture Clash by House of Glory on the 16th in Las Vegas. It was announced Charlie, formerly known as Dakota Kai, will be participating as well. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. Now, for those who are from the Chicago area, if I have any subscribers based on that, it's now been announced that tickets will be on sale on the 21st of March for the upcoming G1 in your backyard, taking place on July 11th. So if any New Japan fans from Chicago, of course, if you plan to go see them, get your tickets as soon as possible. So it's going to be a fun ride. Now, on to some developments. Many people may have noticed that Excalibur, of course, was not present at AEW Dynamite this past Wednesday. According to what PW Insider has revealed, he was very sick and he was unable to do tapings. So it's fortunate, but I hope he feels well. AAA, this was reported by Fightful Select. AAA has announced the return of Lucha Libre World Cup, and it's going to take place on May 30th in the location in Monterrey. So that's pretty much what we do know. Let me pull up something here on my phone for all of you so I can keep up. Alright, many of you know that Sayuri Namba has been now announced. It was signed recently. Tokyo Shiborosi, as you know, will be later on doing the Texas events. Texas Stampede, and it's now been confirmed that Sayuri Namba will be there for all the cards, so she'll be announcing. So if I have any Texas subscribers, if you're planning to go see Tokyo Super Wrestling and you want to see Sayuri Namba, if you guys remember, she's one of the best ring announcers we've ever seen, she'll be there. Tyra May Steele put out something, and some people, of course, took it out of proportion. She talks about saying this, like, on a weekend working for WWE, I went back to the Olympic Wrestling, won gold at the Worlds. They moved me up to Raw just to tell me that they let me go just because I went behind their backs. But later it was mentioned that it was literally tweeting about a dream she had. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that kind of sucks, and I get it that many people are afraid they're going to be let go if they do something stupid. Some people took it out of proportion, like, they're like, what? They just released it. We just saw her evolve. That is true, but nothing has been confirmed. So this one was, Sean Ross Sapp decided to confirm that this was 100% true for what he read, and now it's confirmed it's not. So some people just took it out of proportion. I understand. Now, some people question one thing about Cedric Alexander. Like, many people would have hoped for him to reunite with MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Bobby Lashley to do the whole Hurt Syndicate / business, if they remembered. But he had no interest of that. And this is what he said. He mentioned this on Busted Open Radio. Bobby, Shelton, MVP, they're all legit close friends of mine. So I'm very happy for them that they got to bring the group back and finish their story, their careers the way they want it. But I also was like, man, what about me? I'm part of that group too, and I helped make the group what it is. But at the same time, when I had the opportunity to go AEW, I was looking at it in a sense of for them, they're finishing their careers with the Hurt business. Uh, I still got another 10, 15 years to go, so I kind of want to do my own thing and just be my own man for a while, not be linked to the not linked to all all he did was Hurt business stuff. I was like a self-made man before I came to WWE and see the CWC, the Continental World, the Cruiserweight World Championship, that thing that happened. So I would like to be able to say, no, this is my choice, something I did for me. So it makes sense. I mean, I get that people associate him with the whole Hurt business, and people would have hoped to see him with this Hurt Syndicate. But of course, we have to agree on one thing: that Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley, MVP, they're not going to be around forever. And of course, if they want to finish the story, that's on their terms. But what about Cedric? Where does what going to go? And I understand that that's exactly what he's trying to say. Now, on the AEW Revolution media call, someone asked Tony Khan about Ring of Honor finding a home on Jacksonville, indicates potential announcement for a Ring of Honor on TV in the future. And Tony said that he is looking for a media deals that would make sense, and believes AEW will great card for the future with Ring of Honor television. So yeah, so it seems that he's still working on it. I know that there's been mention about that time and time again, but it still hasn't happened yet. Now, fortunately, a very interesting, sad moments. Once again, we are talking about Tokyo Pro Wrestling. Recently, it was already been announced for the Grand Princess in March 29th in Ryogoku that Lei Yeng Lee was supposed to be participating in this event, but this is what they said. What was revealed. They said, according to the promotion, TNA abruptly informed them this week that Lee's trip to Japan was canceled, despite her having agreed upon since last year her match already announced. Tokyo Pro Wrestling says neither company nor Lei Yeng Lee were at fault, which TNA confirmed in writing. So basically, TNA made the call saying, sorry, we don't want you. This is something that we probably seeing. I think people are worried that TNA are going to fall in the same kind of category as WWE. And that's something we're seeing. If you guys remember, not too long ago, TNA wrestlers were appearing in Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, which is the promotion run by Scott D'Amore. And people don't want, and of course, management does not want wrestlers to go there anymore because of that. But it is what it is. I mean, I don't fault TNA for this, but I'm wondering if they're doing this because of WWE. Who knows? But we'll see how things go from there. But as of right now, we are finished with all the reviews and our updates. Let's call it a day. All right. So I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. I might consider, of course, doing the recent Stardom event with the Cinderella tournament. So we'll see how things would go. So let's just hope things go according to plan for me. If not, then I apologize. If I'm unable to do so due to some circumstances, I'm unable to do it, I might have to try it again at another timing. I apologize to all of you for that, and it's no one's fault. Things hardly don't go according to plan for me outside of the channel, but we'll see how things will go. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang!